When Dark Tidings was released, we were introduced to a brand new type of KeyForge deck, the Evil Twin deck. Evil Twin variants of decks contain an identical card list, except certain creatures are swapped out with Evil Twin versions of those creatures. Evil Twin cards are super cool, featuring different artwork, a black text box, and a completely different ability. Sometimes these abilities are better than the original, sometimes worse, and sometimes approximately the same in quality. Since Evil Twin cards don't seem to get talked about very often, this video will compare 6 Evil Twin cards to their original counterpart, and will analyze them to determine whether they're better or worse than their said counterpart. And once again, this video is primarily my own personal preference and opinion. Each of the cards analyzed here will be more or less useful in various situations and matchups, so what I have to say on these Evil Twins is certainly not the final word. In fact, please let me know what you guys think about these Evil Twins. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Starting off with House Sanctum, we have Lightsmith Clariel, a Sanctum creature that reads, before fight, you may switch Lightsmith Clariel's power and armor for the remainder of the turn. This is an interesting mechanic, great for attacking creatures with hazardous or poison, and thus preventing those keywords from having any effect during the fight. The Evil Twin version of Lightsmith Clariel reads, action, switch a creature's power and armor for the remainder of the turn. This is a fantastic ability, since it will outright destroy creatures with 0 armor, since that 0 armor becomes 0 power, and thus it dies. Or, if you have a Urian the Circumspect's Evil Twin on the board, you can switch his power and armor to make the opponent lose 3 Ember upon reaping with him. Evil Lightsmith Clariel certainly has its uses, and based on the fact that it can kill any creature it wants that has 0 armor, barring any special circumstances, I would rate the Evil Twin higher than the original. Next up is another beefy Sanctum creature, Seneschal Sargassa. Sargassa is a 6 power, 2 armor creature that reads, after a player raises the tide, a creature they control captures 2 Ember from their opponent. This card makes for some excellent Ember control, and you can capture that Ember onto whatever creature you want. However, I really don't like this card very much, and that's because Sargassa's ability applies to the opponent as well. Whenever they raise the tide, they also get to capture 2 Ember from me, and I'm not a fan of playing down a creature and just giving the opponent a free way to capture my Ember. That's why I prefer Sargassa's Evil Twin, which reads, after a player raises the tide, Seneschal Sargassa captures 2 Ember from your opponent. This gives the Ember control Sargassa provides exclusively to you, and it doesn't matter who raises the tide, you're the one who gets to capture the Ember. Sure, with Sargassa's Evil Twin, the captured Ember must go into Sargassa himself, but I think he's definitely a big enough creature, especially if he's protected behind taunt or something, that doesn't matter too much. Ultimately, this is a case where I feel the Evil Twin is better than the original. Next is a Logos creature, the 2 power P.I. Sweven, who reads, if the tide is high, draw 3 cards. Now that's a fantastic ability, so strong in fact that when it's dropped on the board, the opponent will probably do whatever they can to get it off the board. 3 whole extra cards into the hand is just too powerful for the opponent to ignore. However, I can't say the same for its Evil Twin variant, which reads, reap. If the tide is high, your opponent discards a random card from their hand. P.I. Sweven's Evil Twin is literally just a worse version of Toxin. Their abilities are identical, except P.I. Sweven has a condition attached to it, and is 1 less power. Sure, Toxin doesn't appear in Dark Tidings, but that doesn't matter. P.I. Sweven's Evil Twin is just not great, and his regular version's ability is just far more powerful. Next up is an untamed creature, Chelonia, a common 2 power elusive creature that reads, after you play another creature, if the tide is high, gain 1 Ember. It's pretty much Hunting Witch from back in Call of the Archons, but elusive and with a condition. Chelonia is great paired with other untamed creatures such as Deepwater Gruin, and can result in some pretty large bursts. Chelonia has an Evil Twin, which is literally the inverse of regular Chelonia, and it reads, after you play another creature, if the tide is high, your opponent loses 1 Ember. Chelonia's Evil Twin certainly makes for some decent Ember control, especially if you have plenty of creatures in hand to complement it, but in the end, I would rather be generating Ember with Chelonia rather than having the opponent lose Ember. The burst offered by regular Chelonia is, in my opinion, superior to the Ember control offered by Chelonia's Evil Twin. I'm sure the latter can be useful a lot of the time, and it's definitely really annoying to deal with, but in the end, I would still prefer regular Chelonia over its Evil Twin. The 5th card is the Shadows creature Sea Urchin. Sea Urchin is 1 power, has poison, and reads, play, capture 1 Ember. If the tide is high, steal 1 Ember instead. He's a clever, balanced twist on the original Urchin from Call of the Archons, and just everything about him offers at least a little value. However, he happens to have an Evil Twin who reads, play, capture 2 Ember. if the tide is high, steal 2 Ember instead. That's insane! Stealing 2 Ember straight away from a play ability is so strong, definitely worth taking 3 chains to raise the tide for if necessary. And if the tide is low for you, capturing 2 Ember onto a 1-power creature isn't necessarily ideal, but it still can be some pretty clutch Ember control. For me, Sea Urchin's Evil Twin is definitely superior to the original Sea Urchin. And finally, we have Kaup from House Unfathomable. This is a great creature to begin with, a variation of Ember Imp from Call of the Archon's Dis, and it reads, your opponent cannot play more than 1 card of each card type, action, artifact, creature, upgrade, each turn. The disruption this card provides is incredible, and can really hinder your opponent when played well. However, its Evil Twin is probably the weirdest Evil Twin in the game, a 7-power monstrosity that reads, you cannot play more than 1 card of each type each turn. Fight, Reap, discard any number of cards from your hand. For each card discarded this way, deal 2 damage to an enemy creature. What the heck is up with the design of this card? I personally don't think the Fight Reap effect on this creature is worth limiting yourself in such a significant way. The most value I see in this card is that you could get some real deck efficiency going, or it might allow you to fish for that combo piece you've been looking for that's buried in your deck somewhere, seeing as it does allow you to discard cards that are out of house. But it's so odd because you can't even deal the discard damage to your own creatures, you have to deal it to enemy creatures. That prevents you from using its ability to get rid of itself, which I think could be a real problem sometimes. Anyway, this Evil Twin just weirds me out, and I definitely prefer the original. And so those are 6 Evil Twin cards that I thought would be interesting to take a look at and compare to their original counterparts. I feel like Evil Twin cards don't get much exposure, so I would love to make even more videos covering Evil Twins. Let me know what you guys think of the cards covered here and if you agree with my assessments. Thank you all so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you all again in the next one. See you later.